Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Welcome back to the Monday Night Football Draftkings Showdown for Week 8 video. We're going to break down how I believe you should best be building lineups for Showdown, whether you're hand building or whether you're using the lineup builder over at Fanduel Labs, the projections at establishtheRun.com. Links to all of those with discounts are down below. Just click show more on the description and you'll get the links to all of those things if you wanted to use that tool to try and improve your game. Whether you have a big enough bankroll to play mass multi-entry in the big tournaments, or if you want to practice it in the mini-max games, the 5, 10, 25 cent games where you can get in and try to 150 max for like $7.50, $15, or $75 for the 50-cent version. So easy way for you to try and practice mass multi-entering without really busting your bankroll. And it's how a lot of people in our Smiz gang Discord have gone about it. We even had a couple people last year take down the Minimax, and one of them earlier this season take down the Minimax tournament on the main slate. $15,000 usually up top on those slates. So find out if you're the next great mass multi-entry player. But in terms of NFL DFS for week 8 on Monday night, this is what we're going to have. I'm also going to fill out a little pick'em card on Underdog Fantasy. So we'll see if I can hit that one as well. Thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, leave me a reply down below. Let me know what candy was your favorite that you got on Halloween this year. I mean, some of you are taking your kids' candy, but whatever it is. Let me know what your favorite candy bar was that you got, and let's go.
He's a legend.
Why don't we just start off with the pick'em over on Underdog? So we've got all the guys for Monday Night Football. I'm going to go over these in the DraftKings lobby for this particular game. We'll talk about the salaries and everything, as well as plug them into the lineup builder. Let's go with Daniel Jones over 21 rush yards. Let's go with Patrick Mahomes over 21.5 rushing yards. And where else can we go on this one? I like it when they have the combined, right? Like rushing plus receiving yards. Let's hit, I can't hit two Daniel Jones ones. I got to pick, I don't have to pick a third one. I could just go with both of those, but like, I think there's another one in here that might be gettable. How about Demarcus Robinson over 14.5? He's just got to catch a pass for 14.5 yards. Use promo code ALSMIZZLE at, on your first deposit. You'll get a free $10. I'm going to put this in for 25 to try and win 150. There's my picks. As you can see, they're locked in. Like I said, promo code, use code ALSMIZZLE at checkout, and you'll get $10 free on Underdog Fantasy. Heading over to the showdown. Let's start. We got the Giants and the Chiefs. Chiefs favored by 9. Total of 52 in this one. Chiefs with a team total of 30.5. Giants with 21.5. And if we focus on the Giants first, right? Let's start there. So Daniel Jones has been really good at running the ball this season. They've actually utilized him more running the ball this year than in previous years. As you can see, early in the season, 6 rush attempts, 9, 8. A lot of these were designed runs, back to 8 again in week 7 against Carolina. And the Chiefs, if we factor in their DraftKings points allowed, they've allowed the second most DraftKings points to opposing QBs, 24.4 per game, and the 5th most to tight ends. So 5.75 catches to opposing tight ends per game so far this season. The problem with the Chiefs defense right now, like we can get into that in terms of like team building, and like you can't brick drafts for 4 straight years and hope to have a sustainable roster moving forward. Like they've got some chinks in the armor at this point where it's a problem for them, but like all we care about is fantasy, right? So like in terms of fantasy, they're last in sack rate in the NFL. They don't even hit the quarterback. They're like 26th in the league in terms of like pressures and QB hits. And as I said, they allow the most rushing yards per game to opposing quarterbacks as well at 34.4 yards. Enter Daniel Jones. All of those things bode well for Daniel Jones to be able to have a solid game here, right? Like they're not going to pressure him all that much. Designed runs do seem to work. They are an aggressive defense, although they don't get at you in the backfield. They bite on fakes and they go for misdirection. So that read option that they've been running with Daniel Jones, where they've got the running back in shotgun to the right, and they run it this way, and if he catches that guy going across the line, he just keeps it and runs off in that boot to the right side and basically rips off yards at a time. Prime spot for him. But I don't know. Again, we tend to limit our quarterbacks to 15% total between both teams on most slates because about 15% of showdowns have been won with a quarterback in the captain spot. We also get a couple of weapons back here for him. Saquon Barkley not going to be back, which means Booker's is fine. He's not thrilling, right? Like you're not going to trip over yourself to go after Devontae Booker in this spot, but like he's getting more than enough volume and more than enough snaps, and it's like, it's one of those matchups where if they're behind, they're going to have to throw him the ball. There aren't all that many options out there in the passing game because like a lot of red letters, right? Galladay out, Shepard listed as questionable for Monday night. We're going to have to wait until inactives come out for the Giants to know exactly which pass catchers are available. Booker's going to be there. It does appear that Kadarius Toney is going to play. Based on how he looked this week in practice. He's listed as questionable. I would expect him to be ready to go for that game. Then we still have Slayton. Is he a thing? If multiple guys are out, Dante Pettis has been a thing with 5 catches in each of the last 2 games in the absence of all those other plays. And I mentioned how giving the Chiefs have been to opposing tight ends, and like Evan Ingram still exists. So he's not impressed, and maybe that's less to do with Evan Ingram and his skill set and more to do with the game plan and the deployment that he's been used by the Giants this year and last year with the offensive coordinator that they have calling the shots there on this team. But like he's not being utilized in such a way that's going to be fantastic. So let's talk about the correlation plays that we're going to make on this team. If we have Daniel Jones at captain, we're going to make sure that we have any viable receiver, any pass catcher that's in the game is in that group, as well as his kicker. I'm going to include him in the pass group as well. You can include Rudolph in there. If Ross is the guy, fine. If you think that second-year player Colin Johnson is going to be running a lot of routes tomorrow, that's fine. And again, down here, once you get to like 200, if you get like two to 3 catches out of any of these players that are 1K and down in the flex, you're massively going to profit. The second groups that I'm going to make, if you believe that Kadarius Toney, as I said, we're only going to limit to like maybe 15 or 20 total percentage at captain between both quarterbacks in this game. So if you're going to have like Kadarius Toney, who has been electric in the games that he did not leave early since week 4, right? So like they weren't utilizing him early in the season. They had all the injuries. Looked great against New Orleans, looked great against Dallas. Against the Rams, had 3 catches on the first drive before re-injuring his ankle. And if you believe he's going to play a full complement of snaps in this game, while still having players on his receiving core that are going to be out, meaning that there's going to be a lot of targets funneled his way, you're going to want to make sure that you have Daniel Jones in that lineup with him as well. So like we're going to build that group that says if we have a quarterback, if we have a wide receiver or a pass catcher that's a captain, we're going to tie him to that. If you're hand building, do the same thing. You're just not going to do it with the lineup builder. Same goes for Shepard, who in any game that he's started and finished, he's been an absolute monster in terms of his market share of targets. DraftKings being full PPR and him basically getting 10 targets a game in any game that he starts and finishes, and his expected fantasy points per ADOT right now is like 1.65 for the Giants. Like if he gets 10 targets, that's 16 fantasy points expected, and it could go over if he tends to break out for a long one, breaks a tackle, gets a long touchdown, or anything along those lines. So it's more likely that the position players are going to be the viable captains. I'm also going to build that second group if I have Daniel Jones at captain. That's going to include basically every offensive weapon on the other side, and we're going to talk about a lot of these offensive weapons that are on the other side right now. Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to go with the Mark Twain line. Look, the rumors of his demise are greatly exaggerated. He is still a great quarterback with outstanding weapons on a team that has basically just been struggling recently because of their offensive line woes. The Giants, though, at least for running backs, and Williams, while CEH is out, is still going to get the Lions' share of the snaps. And yeah, he got scripted out of this game against Tennessee when they just got throttled by the Titans. But the Giants allow 111.5 rush yards per game to opposing running backs. They're kind of a middling defense. As long as this game plays to script, you have Darrell Williams in a 5-box running back role. At home, favored, expected 20 touches in this spot. If you wanted to roll him out there and captain and fade Mahomes or the two pass catchers, who I expect to be a lot more popular, let's say, in terms of the captain spot. You know, Tyreek Hill is amazing. We know that. Not a great person, but really good football player. He's going to be popular in the captain spot. My favorite captain is probably going to be Travis Kelce. I think that we've got to see more touchdowns out of Travis Kelce, especially as teams see things kind of going away from them. Goes back to my poker days. It goes back to my coaching days. If things kind of start spiraling away from you and you get fancy play syndrome, which it does seem like the Chiefs have suffered from some fancy play syndrome on offense this year. Like, they're just doing too many tricky things around the goal line, like throwing underhand windmill softball passes to Jody Fortson and all those types of players. And Travis Kelce went like 6 weeks without an end zone target. That just can't happen. You have to go back to ABCs. And to me, that means playing somebody like Travis Kelce in the captain spot. Anytime I have him there, it's going to be paired with Mahomes. If I have Tyreek Hill there, it's going to be paired with Mahomes. Talking about the other three pass catchers really quick on this team. Mecole Hardman's played the lion's share of the snaps, but like, this is just, they're all dart throws at this point. If Mecole Hardman breaks a long play, he'll be a great play this Monday night. The problem is we have two other guys that are on the field that aren't doing all that much themselves. You've got Byron Pringle, who looks good when he touches the ball, but he's just not out there for all that much, and he's kind of a smallish wide receiver, and it's hard for him to be relied on a week in, week out basis, but he's extremely cheap on this showdown. And then the other side of that coin, this three-sided coin, is Robinson, who never really has a big game, right? Like, he's got like one catch or like 40 yards. He never gets above 50 yards. But he can make that one catch, and he does play outside. When they get closer to the goal line, Hardman seems to be just kind of a trick or a decoy play, and they look to the bigger players like Robinson, like not really Josh Gordon since he's come back, but more, where's the guy I'm looking for? Like before he went on IR, right? Like Jody Fortson, they were doing those little underhand passes to him and using him in their bigger package once they get around the goal line. So once they get into the red zone, you're looking more towards Robinson, in between the 20s, more towards Pringle, and the lion's share of the snaps towards Hardman. But they're all just kind of, you know, dart throw plays on this slate. Stick to the easy stuff. It stays pretty straightforward. And then we come over to Fantasy Labs, and like I said, I allow about 10% of the salary cap. I do not use a kicker or a defense in the captain spot. I will build that one group to only allow one kicker or defense. I did not show you that on the main slate part of it, but know that it's there, and I can show it to you here in my rules that I set for the template. Pair your captain quarterback with at least two wide receiver, tight end, or kicker from the same team. Pair your captain quarterback with at least one QB, running back, wide receiver, or tight end from the opponent. You'll notice that kicker and defense is out with the captain quarterback, typically for me. Pair your captain wide receiver with the quarterback from the same team. Captain tight end with the quarterback from the same team, and limit to at most one defense and kicker from the same game. The final group that I will build, I have not built yet, but I will add a group with at least one player, and I'm going to pick like 5 guys that are, let's say, projected for sub 15% or sub 20%, guys that I think that can make an impact, but I want to make sure that at least one of them is in every lineup, because there is going to be overlap anytime that you do showdown. That's just the way that it's going to be. There's a very finite amount of players that are involved, and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of lineups that are going to be played, which leads to more overlap. Let's make 150 lineups. Let's do it by floor today to mess with all the people that just come to this part of the lineup to try and copy lineups off the screen. I hope that anybody coming to this spot and fast forwarding does really, really horrible. Learn how to play the game. That's what we try to do. It's never going to take just one run with an optimizer anyway. You really have to massage the percentages that you have for the players. Limit to the captains that you want, limit their percentages, and make sure that you're building groups that boost or limit players with specific captains to get the sort of lineups that you want to build, whether you're hand building or whether you're using the Fantasy Labs lineup builder tool. Like I said, discounts down below. All you got to do is go to smizzle.tv/labs or smizzle.tv/establish the run, or ETR, to get that 10% off of a new membership. And with Fantasy Labs, you definitely get both. You get football and basketball if you choose the multi-sport package. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe, ring the bell. Look out for the recap video on the second channel, Al Smizzle Games, tomorrow. Bye.
He's a legend.